my decision to pursue Yes Theory came to a breaking point with my family. So it was a really tough year where I like pretty much like lost my relationship with my dad, which is now back and amazing.
Welcome to Click and Tell. I'm Sangita Patel.
I'm Carlos Bustamante. You know, the show's pretty simple. We invite the most interesting people in the world to come chat with us and tell us their story based on the images that they've shared to the world.
Yeah, it's a power social media. We go through your chronicles of all your photos, even videos.
Yeah,
right?
basically we creep them.
Yeah.
And then ask
from
them
the
like,
first post to the most recent post.
Yeah.
We talk about your journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey. It's a journey.
Yes Theory began in Montreal, Canada in 2015, when a small group of creative, idealistic young university students had a big idea, a YouTube channel challenging themselves to do 30 things they'd never done before over the course of 30 days. They called it Project 30.
Yeah, this idea grew and evolved, and as the guys pushed themselves past their initial ambitions, they found themselves in situations and in a career that exceeded their wildest dreams. Nearly a decade later, they are known worldwide now as Yes Theory, a team of storytellers whose videos have been viewed over 1 billion times and who have built a community of people around the globe who are united by the idea that great things can happen if you simply say yes.
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 They became a YouTube sensation with over 9 million followers, on Instagram 1.2 million, TikTok over 2 million. Today we catch up with Thomas and Ammar on their incredible journy. Guys.
Thanks for being here today, guys.
Thank you for having us. This is amazing.
Yeah, when you think about all of that, we're just giving a small intro. It's like, holy smokes, you've done a lot.
Also, with your voice too, it's adding a whole edge there.
Like, this is cool.
Yeah,
Few points.
yeah. It's like, wow, I feel like I'm on a show right now, which we are, I guess, but it's your show.
I love that. But, you know, you kind of have to sit back and kind of reflect on like everything that you have done. And with Click and Tell, we went through all of your social media and we wanted to start off with the first post you ever done. I don't know if you guys remember it.
No.
You don't remember.
Don't even know.
Are you scared a little?
I'm a little nervous now.
Wow. First.
Wow.
Right?
Project 30.
That is crazy.
So, guys, we want to talk about who you were, where you were at in your heads at this point in time. Because, you know, as we know, just from the intro, it was like we gotta challenge ourselves. Where did that all come from? Yeah. How did you all come together? And
when you look at this, right? This particular day, yeah.
It's a very fun day, actually.
This is making me emotional right now.
Yeah.
Actually, like something hit me very much, especially when you asked like, who are you as like young people at that point? It's like, yeah, it definitely brings back a lot of emotions about with like the polarity of what we were feeling. There was like a lot of fear that what we're doing is not going to work. It's the very beginning. We're just getting to know each other. Maybe that's 10, 15 days into like knowing each other, and a lot of pressures from family and society, and so what the hell are these guys doing? So yeah, it's like there's a lot of like fear, but way more love, I think, at that point of just like feeling like we really want to do this together, and that it was just fun doing it.
What was it like between you two then at that point when you took this photo? Because you just said 15 days.
Yeah, we had met like basically just a couple of weeks but before that. So we were, people sometimes think we were like childhood best friends or something, but in reality, we met in Montreal, and very spontaneously, Ammar had snuck into my best friend's graduation party. Yeah, basically the way that we met is perfectly fitting to what we ended up doing later on. But in a series of circumstances, I mean, we clicked over like bonding over similar life philosophies. We both wanted to build something, and Ammar was working on a startup at the time, and I'd done that before, but I now wanted to try YouTube. And it was like a mix between like a passion project and something that I thought could be real, but I was still like assessing it, trying to see what it could be. And I ended up hosting Ammar on my couch. And basically I thought, if I'm going to do these 30 days where I'm getting out of my comfort zone, I have to do it outside of the videos too. I don't want to only do it as a performative thing. I also want to live like that during this period and see what kind of opportunities that open myself up to. Because I think it's easy, the older you get, the comfortable we want things to be, the more predictable we want life to be. And I think when you do things that you don't usually do, you break that routine, right? And I knew at that age that I haven't figured out what I want to do, so I got to do something I haven't done before. And so I think between Ammar and I at that point, we were excited getting to know each other, and we were like learning how to work together. And I think there was like respect towards each other from like the beginning.
Yeah.
And we were just, trying to wing it. And that day was a complete day of improv.
Yeah.
It was one of those days where like the thing we were meant to film didn't work. And actually we ended up just pivoting and ended up filming our first viral video in this moment.
So that was our first viral video.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's actually really like the way it came up was, I think, continued to be to set the tone for what would come after. Because as Thomas said, I think the intended episode that day just didn't work out. And on the walk back from, I think we were supposed to go to a museum or something. And then on the walk back from that, we see the bus for Chelsea FC players unloading into the Ritz in Montreal. And that was like the moment where we go, well, what if we just sneak into the hotel and then make up the fact that we have an intramural soccer team in Montreal and try and sign the star players? It's the silliest idea that you could think of, but there was like still the excitement of, can we get past security? Can we get like through to the players or the coach, which we end up doing all the above. And that video was the first video that broke out of the, couple hundred people that were watching on a daily basis during Project 30. And I remember when we woke up the following day, Thomas and I think the video had maybe 15,000 views, which at the time, not in our wildest dreams did we expect that, day 13 or 14 in Project 30 would be, would break out of like our Montreal circles watching. So yeah, it was definitely like, that was like our first taste of what it was like to have like something that we've made get seen by a lot of people around the world.
And did that immediately make you go, okay, like we can do more? Because up to that point, you're like, yeah, a couple hundred people, basically people that we knew. And I imagine in that phase, it kind of like doesn't feel like it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And then that's kind of that makes you go,
because
okay.
it went viral in like the football community in the UK. So it got hundreds of thousands.
That's the best audience to get to, right?
And it was, it definitely at least made it feel possible. It was like a taste of like seeing the door open for a second and then it closed again, but it was like, oh, we can cut through. Because at that time, the algorithm was even less democratic than it is now. Now, with YouTube trying to adjust to TikTok's algorithm, they've made small new channels be able to, like you can post your first video and it can gain an audience. Back then, it was a bit harder. Like channels needed to have been around for a while to like really grow. So this was the first time we felt validated, at least, that like, okay, we're able to make something that people can care about.
So Project 30, let's talk about that, because that was initially your idea. I understand that you wanted to do 30 things in 30 days and you jumped on, which I think is crazy that you, like, how did you even convince Ammar to say, yeah, let's do this? And how did that all come about? And where did you get these 30 ideas?
Yeah.
I think you eat testicles in one of them, right? Am I right?
Sorry, Mom. Sorry about that one.
Yeah, clarify.
I didn't eat any testicles.
Like, do you just sit down and say, this is the things I want to do?
Well, I had a list, but we ended up changing that list completely once we got together. Like the whole thing kind of morphed identity once, we all decided to do it. And I didn't really have to convince Ammar. I think he just ended up feeling connected to the spirit and the energy of the group. And then decided to commit to just doing the 30 days with us instead of leaving, which he was meant to do in the first place. I think we were just,
You must have thought it was a little bit crazy, right? Like,
yeah, it was made two of us, which was incredible. I didn't feel alone in that. And I think as Thomas mentioned, like around that moment in our lives, we were both craving creating something meaningful in the world. And I think, in that moment, I think I saw in him like an opportunity for like a potential partner that I could work on the startup and the idea that I was doing at the time, which was in ethos very much connected to what Yes Theory ended up becoming. And then I think for him, he could also like see in me like a good partner for for Project 30 at the time. So I think it was like, there was no plans for really to become YouTubers or anything. We just thought it was like, 30 days, we're going to do this. It's going to be great. I'll get to understand more about like media and audience and and how to, do storytelling. And I get to, spend more time together. And then after that, we would just, switch and work on the startup that, that I was working on at the time. Obviously, that plan just completely went out of the window once we started working on, at that time, Project 30. And we just realized that there was some real magic in what we were doing, and there was so much more to explore in that. So after Project 30, we just realized that there's more here to do, and we're going to commit and double down on what we were doing. So I ended up not going back to university, and, Thomas was going to move to San Francisco to start like a tech career in tech over there, and he didn't end up doing that. And we just all stayed together. And
It's amazing.
So with that as a jumping off,
Yeah, I was going to say the magic.
the magic of that, we want you to help us go through your story. So we've got a bunch of photos there face down, and they're just randomly spread out, right?
yeah.
Don't be scared. Like, don't be scared.
I don't know
just
what's
pick
under
one.
here.
Pick one.
Just
and
you'll go
wanna
first, Thomas. Why
talk
don't
about
you?
what those moments are.
Yeah, pick whatever. Yeah.
Oh, love this man. So this is, do I show it?
Yeah.
So this is King Reg, as we call him. This was in an episode we filmed last summer where we tried the experiment of what if we start from London
Yeah.
and we pay London Black Cab $10,000 to keep driving until we hit 10,000 and see where we end up. We started in London and ended up finishing in Morocco. And met the most amazing cab driver. He is the only Cockney accent Sikh London black cab driver in all of London.
Yeah.
An absolute legend of a man, and it was just one of those adventures, like almost like a coming of age adventure for all of us. It took 8 days of driving this old black cab through France, Spain, Portugal, and then ending up in Morocco. And this moment we're in a hotel and we're really getting comfortable goofing around with this 70-year-old man who we're now becoming friends with.
70, wow.
And he's calling us his sons. And, it was just one of those moments where you click with a total stranger who's had a completely different life and end up in the most random of circumstances on this incredible road trip. And I got to say, I think it's one of the highlights for us, especially in the last few years of anything that we've done together. And I think for the audience as well, it's one of those episodes that just, I think people keep referring back to.
Like he's such a charismatic dude. Like he's become a celebrity in his own right.
Yeah.
Oh, in London, like he has people recognizing him.
Yeah.
All the time.
And the funny thing is that specific video ended up with a bunch of other yesterday videos is now on different airlines. So there is like people who are discovering Reg just flying British Airways, going to London and like watching the episode.
No way.
Yeah. So we were just
survive. I'm just thinking how
Honestly,
mechanical
almost
part of it.
didn't. It basically broke down a couple of times. But luckily we made it all the way. We had to drive super slow. We were the slowest car on the highway all the time.
Yeah.
Just the trucks were passing us. So
right.
we're in like the lane all the way to the right and we were getting...
And that was in the summer with the car not having AC.
So we had to drive with the windows down. You know, you're in the back and you're just getting all the wind flowing in your face. But it was...
And the fact that he's 70, he must have had so many stories that he wanted to share with you
Unlimited,
guys. Right?
unlimited
What did you learn from him about his life, right?
I mean, it's like to just learn about how his parents came to the UK through the Suez Canal in Egypt and like in the 20s, and like, you know, what it was like to immigrate to the UK at that time, and just like him having, you know, he's had 2 different marriages, what he learned from his first marriage versus his second.
What did he learn from his first marriage?
to not marry the wrong person. Just airing Reg's dirty laundry right now, but I think he'll be okay. He'll be okay.
Wise words.
Yeah. It's definitely wise words.
But he was just a wisdom machine and had just, been in tens of thousands of conversations because he's been a cab driver for 50 years. 50 years. So he's spoken to everybody, and he's just one of those people that are just made for that job. Like he just loves talking to everybody. He loves getting to know people and also sharing from his own life experience. And he never gets tired of...
Maybe this is a great opportunity for, if there's any like reality TV producers, creatives, directors,
this man
we can't believe that nobody has hit him up yet. Like we were talking about it when we were in London last time. he is the most perfect character that you can have in a show.
Absolutely.
That is just like, it's like almost like a Borat meets Ted Lasso meets like the most positive version of like an inspirational speaker. Yeah,
We
it's
gotta launch that.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great.
Yeah, the thing that so many things about this series that you did with him that struck me. But you guys have gone around the world and you've done this so many times, where you kind of find a person who is like, yeah, sure, yeah, like, and I know this is the whole ethos, right, of yes theory. The great things come on the other side of doubt when you get to yes.
Yeah.
But what is it about someone that you can tell? Because I know in that particular episode, you were like, did we just find him? Like immediately.
Yeah.
Did we just find him? Even before you went looking.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about someone like Reg that you can tell that you're like, this is going to be the person we're going to spend all this time with? And they'll be the great guide for us.
That's a great question. I think there is, for me personally, it's someone who's like not afraid to be them unapologetically themselves, and there is like I often try and see, is someone acting different when the camera is on versus when the camera is off? Is there like a slight change there? Why are they changing? Because for everyone, like, you know, cameras are on will be slightly different, but you just gotta gauge, is it different because maybe like, I don't know, like it's gonna be coming from a place of
Like we want them to be comfortable. Right?
yeah, exactly,
And
comfort rather than
authenticity,
insecurity,
right?
I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, we you know, I often look for that. I see if it's like, how are they? Can they just be themselves speaking to us without the worry of the camera being on?
Yeah.
I think, do they seem like a kind, open, curious person? You know, and I think we can usually gauge that fairly quickly. Some people need more convincing, but you can tell they want to say yes. They're just like, the thinking brain is taking over. And then some people, they just are on board right away. But there is a feeling there that I think when you meet somebody, we've just asked thousands of people to go on adventures, that we can kind of gauge, okay, I think this person, even though they're hesitating right now, they're going to be amazing once they just overcome this moment of hesitation for us to then commit to it.
And that's it. You guys take people out of their comfort zone. I mean, that's pretty impressive that you're doing that. That must feel good too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
To be that person, to be able to do that.
It's very rewarding to see somebody overcome that fear. And then, you know, we've never had somebody afterwards say like, yeah, that wasn't worth it. You know, like 100% of the time.
Imagine.
Yeah, it's like, that was great. And obviously, like we at this point are comfortable making somebody comfortable in the discomfort, right? Because I think you have to be able to not get to that point where you're panicking, but you can still sit with the discomfort and then process it and experience it.
Well, I'm going to have to call him when I go to London.
You
for a
should.
cab
Actually,
ride
people
and,
do reach out to him now.
They do.
To have him as like their driver, even to show them.
You should do a podcast episode in
in the car
Well,
where there's no air
and then
conditioning.
do the photos of like the trip, and he'll tell you all the stories.
about
That would be the best.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. How often do you guys talk to him?
Well, we were
Quite
just
often.
in London, like filming 2 months ago, and we filmed with him, and
Yeah.
like via text, like pretty much.
He texted me last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll send me like, good morning, you know, just randomly. I'm just like, that's it, you know.
Because the funny thing is, like, you know, the cynical part of any viewer can look at that and go, oh, they're not really friends after that.
Yeah.
They're not really going to talk after that. But there's something about the way, even when you were in, was it Moldova?
Mm-hmm.
And like after you like grandpa in Moldova
Yeah.
that you guys met, I was like, I believe that they're calling this guy.
Yeah.
Like I believe that they're keeping in touch.
FaceTime.
And is that I want to say, like, is that intentional, or is it just that, you know what, we don't want to lose contact with these people because connection is important to you.
And you spend a lot of time with them, right? You're going through the discomfort with them, which makes it special too, right?
Yeah, I think definitely we've had this shared experience. You know, in the Moldova instance, he only speaks Russian, so he FaceTimes our friend Eric, and then Eric lets us know. You know, but he doesn't have like an iPhone, so he'll borrow other people's iPhones and then FaceTime us with that. So when we know we're getting some random FaceTime from Moldova, it's probably Mikhail calling us. You know, but I think it's just we've had this experience now with this other human being, and we want to stay in touch. Of course, we don't text every person we've ever met every week, but with most people, if they hit us up, if they're in town or whatever, we end up seeing them again or whatever. Yeah.
Is there anyone particular that you do stay in contact that you're surprised by?
Actually, I just like 2 days ago, I ran into the first person we ever met when we moved to LA, and he was like it was like an off camera yes. But do you remember Josh and Roger when we first landed in LA? The guys we played frisbee with on the beach?
yeah.
Yeah, I ran into Roger at a party like 2 days ago in LA, and I saw him and I was like, wow, dude. We continued to see each other throughout our time in LA. I mean, we had landed and we like had 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, so we're nobody yet, and just like getting started. And we continued inviting him to the parties that we've had, and then we continued inviting the first person to say yes to us on camera, Redvik, who is brilliant filmmakers now. We stayed in touch, and get to meet wherever we're in the same place. So it's there's been some. And I think that's the beauty about what we do, is that it's a filter for just like-minded people that most likely would be the most fitting people to become our friends, because we're just looking for people who live in the same philosophy, in the same frequency, in the same energy. So it's not such a stretch to think that the people that we meet are actually people who we would be friends with, because they are yes people. In fact, they are the ones that said yes to the thing that we came to them for. So it's we always call it like just the world's greatest like magnet or people's filter.
And a really elaborate shortcut to getting good friends.
Good friends.
100%.
That's a good way to do it. It's almost like a dating app, but like a friend app kind of thing that you're doing here, right?
The yes is a good filter.
Yeah, it's a good
Automatically,
filter.
it's going to be an open, curious, person who just connected with us, and then.
Wait, did you meet a girlfriend through this process? Have you guys met a maid? Or, look, you're smiling, but
in the process of filming a video, I met a girlfriend in 2018. It was like, we were filming a video and it involved a helicopter, and at the airport, she was like walking out of the helicopter that I was going in.
Oh, nice. Well, there you go. It's kind of a dating app. No, I'm kidding. Do you want to pick another one?
Let's do it. Ammar, you pick one. I'm so excited about what all of these are. These are great pictures. Which one is it? Oh my God. Great moment.
It is a great moment. Will and Thomas and Matt just screaming.
In this moment, Ammar had just bungee jumped out of a helicopter over the Grand Canyon. First person to ever do it. And we're standing next to Will Smith reacting to him swinging back up from the canyon, because the rope was so long that he dipped below, like where we could see him.
Yeah.
And then we're just seeing it fully stretched, and then he's flying, getting swung back up in the air. And it was a surreal moment. Absolutely surreal moment.
You got very emotional.
Yeah, I mean, I was terrified for Ammar's life.
He just didn't want to deal with, like, I'll be dead, nobody will care. He's going to have to deal with how yesterday killed Will Smith.
No,
I was worried for you. And
that's
loves you.
So the behind the scenes information that we had, that I don't know if we've actually shared before, but there was a TV show that had tried to do this, and it did not go well at all.
Why?
The
Let's just get into it. Yeah,
the person died doing this stuff.
died
doing this stunt.
Yeah.
And we found out, someone told us basically like 2 weeks before, because this stunt hasn't been done many times. Like there isn't a team that is like equipped to do these things. So this show got canceled after episode 1, because like that happened on episode 1. So I'm like, my heart is pounding, I'm like just praying that this is going to work. Obviously they've done so many tests, and they're the best stunt team in all of Hollywood to do this thing. So I felt secure from that sense, and I had to go talk to the head of the stunt crew to like feel reassured. But in this moment, it's like a mix of pride, surrealness, because we started 3 years before. We're in a 1-bedroom apartment in Montreal, sharing beds, on like a pull-out couch. And now we're standing in front of the Grand Canyon with Will Smith's hand on my shoulder with this gigantic multi-million-dollar production. And my best friend has just pulled off the craziest
What
stunt
did he say to you
he's
at
ever
that
seen.
moment?
He was just screaming. You could tell that he was ecstatic.
Yeah.
I mean, he was so
was up
thrilled.
next.
He was up next. You could tell he was terrified and like amazed. And like, yeah, the range of emotion that I think he was experiencing was shared by everybody around. It was like a mix of anticipation and I think he was visualizing how you did it to like, it was amazing. And after you were done, he kind of got really quiet and was like, okay, I guess it's my turn. Because he's got a genuine fear of heights. Ammar is more comfortable with heights, actually. So it was much more real in terms of like a challenge, I think, for Will Smith than it was for you.
But seeing you just talked about his reaction and him like just psyching himself up to go next. How nervous were you guys for Will? Because obviously you just saw your friend go once and like the endorphins must be going through you and you're excited to go. And then now one of the biggest stars on the entire planet has got to go do that. And you're basically resetting. Yeah. Right? So
I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified.
For me, I knew his life was about to change forever. Like it was about to be a core memory that he'll never ever forget, and something that will mark. He was turning 50 that day. So as like which actually it's in a few days. So happy birthday, Will. Yeah, I knew that it would be like a monumental event in his life that he'll refer to for years to come, and it's been the case. Like every time we meet, there's always this conversation about how much that was meaningful for him at the turn of his 5th decade, and a new era in his life for that to have been like the defining moment before. So it's been a blessing. Like for me personally, because I had just done it too, and I knew they had the best in class for it in every single category. Will was gonna be fine, and he was just gonna land and have the best birthday.
So what did you say to him? You just jumped.
Yeah.
You're walking back. You have this adrenaline. Will's going next. What was that conversation with him?
I actually remember telling him what he should do if he wants to stay straight falling back, because there wasn't a whole lot of I got off and Will was gonna go on right away. So I remember like it was something around stay locked with his eyes on the helicopter instead of like looking elsewhere, so that his body can stay straight as much as he can. She didn't end up doing that, so he just went off and
no shade to Will.
Yeah.
You were very
I was very clear about what he should do, and he didn't do it. But yeah, that was and there was just like I think I remember like the energy of the moment, just like dabbing him up and like hugging him, knowing that he's about to experience like one of the most blissful moments of his life.
You said it was going to change him. How did it change you?
I think it was the meaning was more in like the journey that took me there. The stunt itself was more of like an exciting, fun thing for me. It wasn't necessarily so much of me overcoming a fear or anything. And it was a pretty tough year. I had a falling out with my dad because of the choice that I made to pursue yes theory, and it's I'm from Egypt, different culture, different ways of thinking, and that my decision to pursue yes theory came to a breaking point with my family. So it was a really tough year where I pretty much lost my relationship with my dad, which is now back and amazing. But I remember that it was the toughest year of my life, with a few months before that had just happened. I remember the moment of looking down at the cliff and seeing Will standing with his hand on Thomas's shoulder, and the Smiths and yes theory just sharing that area, and I was about to jump, and I was just thinking I have stuck to my mission, stuck to my purpose. I'm doing what I'm doing for a very clear reason, and this is a moment that shows the reward of doing that. So it felt very rewarding for having just made some pretty hard, life-changing decisions in the months that came before the jump. And that was just a moment of validation of you stick to what you believe in, and God, the universe will respond to you.
So Ammar, just talking to you, and obviously knowing the things that you guys have been able to do, and just listening to you talk right now about being sure that Will was going to be fine.
Yeah.
Being sure, but you are sure to me about so many things.
Yeah.
Is this a quality that when you guys first met, is it something that you shared, or is it something that attracted you, or is it something that kind of scared you a little bit?
Wow, these are some great questions.
I think I had it in some different ways, but I think Ammar has it in a bolder sense with like I think confidence with these kinds of situations. Like I sometimes need to think through it to get to feeling all right. And I think Ammar can just feel his way to being all right. And, but I think with certain other aspects, like would this YouTube channel work out? I think we all had that sense of, no, this is going to be great. Like we're going to figure it out. And because it was more a sense of, we knew we wouldn't stop until we figure it out. And I think we all realized that our videos were not quite there yet, but we were confident that we could figure it out and get there. And that YouTube was open for more types of stories and travel types of, different kind of storytelling than what was being offered on the platform at the time. So, yeah, I think we have that boldness, but in different regards. I don't know if you agree or
Yeah.
Ammar, you talked about your dad, and you were like you mentioned you were sure this was the way your path was.
Yeah.
And then that relationship kind of fell apart, and now you're back together. At the time, did that in any way sway you that you weren't making the right decision?
Like my dad's reaction?
Yeah.
No, because I understood why he, like the place that he was coming from, and the fact that it was like that was just his expression of love towards me, and it wasn't happening in the way that he only knew how, which is like his exercise of like his parental power over me and like swaying certain decisions. It's a pretty scary position to be a dad with your eldest son having left Egypt at a young age and made a lot of life decisions on my own that he didn't really have a whole lot of visibility in, because it's just like very different than our life in Egypt. But I think what we do, or at least what we do, to me, it requires a lot of faith. Or it's not even that it requires a lot of faith. It just like faith is an ingredient that makes a journey like this more bearable and easier to navigate. Because even in moments where you're not quite understanding why something is happening, there's a belief that it's happening for the best, and as long as you're just like clear in your intentions and your internal coherence, that ultimately things are working out for you, not against you or anything like that. So I think, I just knew I genuinely knew the place that I was coming from. I knew that I wasn't like in this like YouTube thing because, I can get rich fast and we will just take, whatever deal or whatever thing that comes our way just so that we can make the fastest money that we could. We did it because we genuinely want to change the world through the stories that we tell, and because I knew that was my place, and I knew that my dad came from a loving place, not like one where he just like wanted to be controlling for no reason. I could come to a conclusion, like to a place where I wasn't gonna let that change the path that I've like carefully chose for myself. And ultimately, like it was that path and the type of work that I did that ended up amending the relationship. It was May of last year. When I showed a movie that we had just done, our first feature film documentary, and it played in Dubai, one of the premieres, and I invited my family, and he got to see that there, and he got to really understand like the premise for the message that I've like dedicated my life for. And that was actually, if anything, like to the question of faith, I actually had very little faith that when my dad made that decision that something would change, because I didn't see how. I was too young and naive, and I didn't understand like time does change things. And so yeah, I think.
So after that film, did he have faith in you?
It looks like it, yeah. From the relationship right now, and even him telling like his friends about the film and how they should check it out. And he actually ended up a few months ago, this January, I made it back to Egypt for the first time in 6 years. I couldn't return because of some military service issues, and I got to go back and I got to achieve a childhood dream of skydiving over the Great Pyramid of Giza. I had like trained to become a skydiver, and I did some training, and then when the time came to go back to Egypt, I managed to find a way to make that happen. And I actually didn't even. I was gonna say I asked him to join me for it, but out of nowhere, he was the one that suggested. Like he asked me if he could skydive with me over the pyramid. My dad is my dad is deathly terrified of heights, and it's relevant to this moment because my dad, I think when he watched that video and he understood that Will also was very scared. In my dad's mind, he was like, "Well, if Will did it, I could."
That's so cool.
Yeah, so he ended up doing it, and Will had actually sent him a very adorable video after my dad landed from the skydive. Will congratulating my dad and saying that he's proud of him. And my dad dedicated the jump to Will, which is really funny.
Will and Dad.
Yeah. Which is interesting because when you asked me about like what this moment meant, it was like this moment of validation from a dad figure during a time where I was like having issues with that. So it was like a very full circle moment later on for Will to be like in touch with my dad about the thing that my dad got inspired to do because of him. Oh. In fact, I may have cheated a little bit when I was lifting this one. And it's actually the moment that I just spoke about is this moment of my dad over the Great Pyramid of Giza right after I had just jumped. And it's, I think, the greatest selfie of my life. So yeah, that was a very meaningful moment that to me, it was very like summarized what yes theory is to me.
Yeah.
Like you say yes to your dreams, and obviously adversity is going to come along the way. But ultimately, if you stick to your true yes and your true, authentic intention, things work out. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's interesting. You're helping other people find their yes, but yet you're answering your own yes, both of you. And you're almost finding yourself through this process.
Exactly.
In the last 10 years, which is so powerful, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, a large undertone of everything we've done is our journey of growing up and learning more about the world and about ourselves through these experiences and through the people that we meet.
I love that.
I mean, from 21 to 31, that's like... that's our
We're getting old.
Getting old. Oh, Lord. They don't want to know how old we are.
I mean, you guys joke about like basically being married, right? But this partnership has lasted for so long. And I know there are a lot of people who you probably,
longer than 60% of marriages.
Longer than 60% of marriages.
Not that much.
But even, I'm sure there are a lot of teams that come up to you and they're like, they ask for advice or whatever when they see you. How do I get here to this peak that you guys are at? The thing that I'm always curious about when I see partners that have been able to make something work like this for so long is, how does this work so well?
Mm-hmm. The first thing that came to mind is it was for both of us specifically in our dynamic and our relationship. I think there was a recognition that we, as much as we had an intertwined journey that we were going through together and like co-creating something that was very deeply meaningful and connected to our own personal stories in our lives, we also recognized that we needed to have our own separate journey of growth that was going to be maybe different in timing, even though we're only 1 year apart. So I think the space that we both gave each other in that 10-year journey to do this individual growth, as of course we were connected in our collective growth through Yes Theory and through what we were doing together, there was and I think that ultimately, like, why we end up being the last two standing in this, because I think we let each other have that in the most like graceful way that, you could obviously, because it's so not easy to be like co-founders and best friends and roommates and husbands. So it's I think the thing that in my opinion made it work is that recognition and that space, because otherwise, it would have been.
Well, I'm curious to know Thomas's friendship to you. That has a lot of value because it feels like you've gone through a lot with your family, and it almost feels like Thomas was your family at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And his family was my family too.
Yeah.
Got the loveliest family who took me as a son during that, and still so.
I only have two siblings, but my mom tells everyone she meets that she has four children.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then she says one is from Egypt, and they're like, they're always like, how?
Got adopted on their
You just kind of walked into your house and said, "I'm your son." All right, let's do one more.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I pick one?
Pick whichever you take. What's that?
Oh, this is a great moment.
New York.
And on Times Square, Project Iceman documentary that Ammar directed up on the big billboard.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for that moment. How did that feel? I'm taking
No,
Oh, no, yeah.
by all means.
I think the meaning of that moment was less of like, of course, it's cool to have a thing in Times Square, but honestly, it's the thought of it is cooler than the practicality of it. There's so many things lit up in Times Square. Nobody even is looking anywhere. So it's a cool thing to think about, but the practicality of it is not that cool. For me, what was meaningful here is that we had the Iceman team from like the most people who've worked on the film be at that premiere, and that was so beautiful because it was like the team coming from Copenhagen and then some people coming from Amsterdam, from Paris, and just getting to do it in New York, where we had so many of our other creator friends that could come and support and be there was so amazing. And as I said, it was just like a moment where we all looked at each other and we were like, we did this just by ourselves.
Wow.
Without any like sort of like partner or production company that came and, you know, made it all happen for us. Like, this was funded by the Yes Theory community, made by a bunch of people who like committed 40 days of their lives to stay at the Yes House, you know, and edit the film and then from there go on the world tour that was maybe the 7th stop for, I think right before Toronto. That was the premiere that we had. So yeah, so meaningful to just see. And then every single person that I see in this photo is from the Yes Theory community, and the reason they end up working on the film is because of a call out that we put online, and every single one of them is an absolute rock star and you know in what they do, and they delivered like a world-class, you know, tour and film to the world that is now on YouTube for everyone. And so yeah, it's a moment of a lot of pride, but not because there's some poster in Times Square, but because of like the people that are in the photo.
So what does this project, like not just that moment, but the project in general, mean for the future of the Yes Theory project? Because again, you know, you're going now to a new phase of Yes Theory, having made these videos. And I'm sure, like you said, now you're 31, you're not 21 anymore.
Yeah.
So the feeling's got to be a bit different.
And you have multiple channels, as you mentioned.
Multiple channels, all those things. What does this mean for the future of what you guys want to do?
I think it's recognition that Yes Theory and Seek Discomfort are not exclusive to the stories that we tell as Ammar and as Thomas, and you know our growth journey is one of many, of maybe millions around the world that deserve to be told. And I think that was an opportunity for Yes Theory to show a type of story that didn't require one of us to be at the center of it for people to be interested in it. In fact, it was about a complete stranger, not even an American or North American, which is, you know, predominantly those are the stories that do well. It's actually about a European person. The film is not even entirely in English, and still, you know, you found an interest from a mass audience that appreciated the film, that, you know, went to see it in theaters when it was shown in the US. And I think in an environment that is being driven more and more to be like short form, soundbite based, and like short and snappy, and I think the value of being able to tell stories that make people feel something over, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours is almost becoming more and more rare. And we want to show that there is, you know, young talent in the world that doesn't need like the big institutions to be able to tell these stories. In fact, we can't afford the timelines or the speed in which these institutions that deliver these stories, because the world needs these stories faster than ever. And we can't just wait for like a 3-year cycle for a documentary to be made. We have to support, you know, young creators to be able to tell these stories. And, you know, for us, that was like an experiment where we showed how Yes Theory is able to do that, not because we were like have unlimited funding, but because we had an amazing community that believed in it and funded the making of the film. And we hope to, it was basically like the blueprint that we can show if someone is interested in like coming on to like help us do more of this. So yeah, I hope that it just sets the tone for what Yes Theory can be, that it's not just like the stories that, you know, Mar, Thomas, and Stefan, and Tommy do on the YouTube channel. In fact, we can almost be like a studio that tells stories about the themes that we care about in different ways. And it could be, unscripted documentary, but it could also be scripted.
Right.
Yeah.
There's so much that we can say about
Next level.
seeking discomfort, about humanity, about, choosing love over fear. So I think, for us as storytellers and as creators, as we're growing, up, and our aspirations and dreams are expanding for the stories that we want to tell. Of course, some of it is still connected to the travels and adventures that we do, but also there's, Thomas wants to do, scripted stuff. And
Yeah.
I want to do, more unscripted things. So it's,
Talk more about the community. You guys have people from around the world part of this community. It's like your own little culture, your little, can I say religion, I guess? Right? Can I? Oops. I don't know if I could say that, but it's pretty massive.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we're very fortunate. I think just in the same way that the kind of strangers that we've attracted through the Yes is like a good filter for friendship. I think the same with our audience.
Yeah.
I think we're very blessed by, even when we get recognized on the street or whatever, it's people that you can tell have a kind spirit. Most of them, almost all of them. I've almost never had any kind of interaction that wasn't pleasant. So I think it's just attracted. It's been a filter for people that are looking for a world that is more open, that is more kind, that is more curious. Because I think our videos are have that very specific tone throughout most of the videos, and I don't think you necessarily watch it solely to be entertained. I think when people gravitate towards the channel solely for entertainment, it could be anybody, right? But I think with us, there is a specific philosophy that we continue to explore with the audience as well, and that has evolved with the videos. And I think because of that, it's people that have showed up and doubled down on even being deeper into all the, we have a Facebook group, a Discord group, and all of these places where people do meetups together. People have traveled together. People have met on our Facebook group in a comment section and gotten married.
Amazing. Wow.
Multiple people. Several married couples exist right now because they met in our Facebook group.
And they said yes.
Exactly.
They said yes.
Yes. Ultimate yes to say in life, really.
Yeah.
And I think that they, very quickly realized they had a lot in common. And
Right.
I think that what is cool about it is that you can tell that people have clicked beyond, languages and their own native cultures through this plane of yes and openness and wanting to get out of their comfort zone and explore life. And I think that especially post COVID now, I think there's a very strong appetite for people to travel, to explore, to be out in the world, to get off the screens and to grow and to not feel as stuck. And I think we're just super blessed that that's been a byproduct, I think, of
it's
making
amazing.
our videos. Because a lot of our friends, a lot of the people we end up hiring and partnering with are from our audience, people who clicked with it. And that's what Ammar was pointing out about the people who worked on this film, where a lot of people who reached out to us, when we started speaking about it, and we could recognize they not only have the talent, but they also understand the message that we're trying to tell. So we don't need to, get them on board on that side of it. They already get the why. So now let's figure out the how together.
Love that.
Yeah.
Quiz time.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Ready, guys? Who slid into your DM that surprised you?
Oh, interesting. I have a good one, actually. I had this movie on my watch list forever. It's called Past Lives. It was nominated for best picture at the Oscars. Not even foreign film, even though it's half Korean, half English. And I didn't check my DMs in a while, and I just checked them. And the main actor had heard on a podcast that I'd mentioned that I wanted to do scripted storytelling in the future. And he sent me the sweetest message about wanting to support me in this process. He said he'd help me with the script. He'd be an actor in it if I want to. He'd introduce me to people. And I went to see it in theaters that week. And I think it's an amazing film, first of all. And I think his performance is amazing. But it was just like a very, just one of those moments where I think he's the first actor to reach out to me and to be to validate a little bit this desire that I have to go into scripted.
That's great.
So that was a fun
Yeah.
kind of.
Also, shout out past lives.
Yeah.
Legitimately, like it deserves every accolade it gets. Yeah,
Ammar?
for sure.
I can't think of one, to be honest.
Oh, did you slid into someone else's DM? Like, could turn it around.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like what's the. Honesty, probably we're big fans of tennis. So
Okay.
yeah, I think messaging like the number one American player right now, Taylor Fritz, who I saw that he was like following us, and then I like reached out, said hi, and now we've been friends ever since, like past 3 years. Wherever he's playing,
Nice.
go watch him. So that's been fun.
Cool. What about you, Carlos?
Me? I mean, it's if ever I can
Salma
get
Hayek.
if I can ever get you to respond to a message, it would probably be you. But, you know.
I always answer. What are you talking about? Who was the first YouTuber that was an influence to you?
I guess it has to be The Buried Life, right?
Yeah.
The Buried Life was a Canadian channel, but they also ended up creating a TV show
Okay.
on MTV. And their whole premise was doing 100 bucket list items. And like they had this list of 100 things they wanted to do before they die. And in each episode, they would also help a stranger accomplish something off of their list. And I think seeing that was the first time we saw, at least for me, like that it was possible to have this kind of adventure, unscripted storytelling be put together in like a super exciting format.
Yeah.
And we resonated with it because we were a group of friends kind of looking for something exciting to do. So probably The Buried Life, shout out to them.
What do you hate about social media?
How unsocial it is. Yeah, I think it's actually something that I wanted to, to comment on to your last question right before the Q&A. It feels like we're just in this epidemic of loneliness and lack of belonging. And I think it's happening through this like an illusion that we're connecting more with each other, but the reality of it is like the most extreme opposite of that. And I think I think for Yes Theory, it's like definitely one of the things that give power to this community is that it's something. There's not a whole lot of things that can give you like pride and a sense of belonging to as an idea that is not like some sort of weird cult or some not very not something that you would be like proud to share publicly about. And I think Yes Theory offers someone that without all the weirdness of like a central figure or it being like connected to religion or so yeah, I feel like it's definitely to the I lost my train of thought here.
Point of social.
Yeah, for social media to be this driving force that make people compare themselves to one another in the worst of ways, and for how younger and younger people are now getting on it without any sort of like the overview or from the parents or from adults. It's an
interesting place.
It's definitely yeah.
And lastly, what is your screen time on your phone?
Bad right now.
You got to pull your phone out,
Pull my phone's over
and
there.
we're going to actually check.
We're gonna check. You got yours.
Ammar, we're going to check yours, Ammar.
I'll share mine too. Just for Let me see.
Terrible.
Screen time.
I'm not even going to check. I don't even.
Yeah, it's
Okay, I have my daily average ready whenever you're ready.
1 sec.
he's trying to delete it.
I mean, truthfully, he could say anything. he
Googling, why do I
wants.
delete
Yeah.
screen time?
Screen time.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, what are we saying? Daily average?
Daily average. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
It's gonna be
What's yours? Let's start.
Okay, mine? Okay. 7 hours, 34 minutes daily average, down 12% from last week.
7 hours and 17 minutes.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, but that's not to clap for. Come on.
We don't want to see mine.
That's like half of my waking hours. That's not good.
terrible. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
Thomas, I would say
Watching
Thomas
this-
is probably 5 something.
Yeah, he's less.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Just get off the phone, guys.
Get off the phone.
Just go outside. You'll be much happier.
Yeah.
What he literally meant was, when you finish watching this, get off the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, you're done watching us, now get out of here.
Yeah.
so that we can increase the wash time. We'll get this in the recommended feed. Then you can go outside.
Thank you so much, guys.
Guys, you're so awesome.
Thanks for saying yes. And really, your story resonates with so many people, and you've helped. You know what? You define kindness, and that's what you've used on your social media platform. And so, thank you for that.
Thank you. What's the big yes that you're looking forward to?
Myself?
Yeah.
If I were to work with you guys?
No, like a big yes in your life right now.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm cancer free now. So that's my big yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's been a big year for me. So that's my yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You?
You're looking at me now? I thought I was going to
luck
ask
following
Scott
that.
All right, well, thanks everybody. We
That's
gotta
my
go.
big yes.
You know what? I don't know. My big yes is just, this is actually truthfully what it is. My big yes is saying yes to being present in my life with my family, with my kids. Yeah. And not being so stuck on just work.
Yeah.
And, you know, it sounds easy to say, but once you start getting into the mode of like really living your life where your life is, everything changes, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that, man.
Beautiful.
Thank you guys for having me.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yes Theory were phenomenal. I learned so much from them. I want to know what you learned from them.
Well, okay. So I learned, number one, that they were exactly as how I expected them to be. From watching their videos, from seeing their content, that they were as open and as good at telling stories and sharing their experiences as they've always been, which is super cool. And watching them, I mean, even just in this kind of conversation here, just made me want to be, I guess, even more open.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I think for me, it's discomfort, actually going past that.
Discomfort, man.
Yeah, look for it. Just go for it. I'm just going to get on a motorcycle and go fast. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Just live that moment, but also that you can be authentically yourself on social media and live with kindness.
Yes, I love that. So be yourself, right? Be authentic on social media, and then book a helicopter and go bungee jumping. Those are the things that we got to do.
Okay.
Right, amazing.
Yeah, we'll see you next time on Click and Tell.